Good morning.
Yeah, hear you. Good morning.
Perfect. Scott, where are you located?
I am in Las Vegas.
Okay, very nice. Awesome. Well, first of all, welcome. Thanks for doing this, taking the time out. Just so you know, you and I are the only ones that have audio right now. Everybody else is muted. They may be typing some questions in the chat, so we may be able to get to some of those as they come in there. So can you do me a favor and just kind of give us a little bit of background history on you?
Yes, sir. First of all, thank you for having me. Pleasure to virtually meet you. And so I'm 32, live in Las Vegas. I run a mental and physical transformation program called Fight or Flight Fitness. Father of 5, currently married, and live a very, very busy lifestyle. When I'm not working, it still feels like work once you're in the house, kind of deal. But is there anything specific you'd like me to elaborate on?
Well, I just wanted to get your general background. I mean, you got 5 kids? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's where the busy part. I've got 4, so you got me beat by 1, and it definitely does take a toll. But
Yeah,
I got
definitely.
I got about 20 some years on you, so I'll take that as my handicap.
Hey, you can
But
have that
anyway,
one.
well, you'll get it too, hopefully. So tell me, so fight or flight, what was the evolution of that? Where did that come from? And, when we think about fight or flight responses, this adrenaline response, but how did that name come up, and what drove you to start that sort of business?
Well, believe it or not, I learned a lot about it during, so me and my wife, we had a home birth, and we took like home birthing classes and things like that. So you kind of learn, so during that process, I learned about like catecholamines and things like that trigger the fight or flight response. And I realized the effectiveness of which it can be used in certain situations, especially when it comes to metabolism or diet or just overall mental strength and things of that nature. So I basically took that and implemented it. So when the pandemic hit, my main focus was to keep people active during the pandemic. And so I kind of used that name as a brand. And I took that, I ran with it. And, I kind of developed a small community, which I help people a lot of times, because I was helping people for probably 4 to 5 years for free virtually and things like that, just because I enjoyed making people the best versions of themselves as possible kind of deal. So with that situation, it's kind of a mind thing as well as a physical thing, where in every situation you have, it's either you fight or you flight. Do you want to deal with it? Do you not want to deal with it? Is it worth it? Kind of a no negotiations tactic form of mindset. So it's kind of I kind of took that and used it not only as a metaphor, but as a phrase of action kind of thing.
Yeah, and obviously, you have to be living under a rock to realize we're living in unusual times now, and some places are locked down, some are not, some have access to gyms, some don't. It seems to be almost kind of randomly how this is kind of meted out. But
Exactly.
one of the things that is, I think, underappreciated, I guess, by most, certainly not by me and many other people, but we don't have a big emphasis on improving people's health during this whole situation, which I think would make a tremendous difference. I think one of our members, Ayana, is saying that, you've helped her out, I guess maybe locally or online, I'm not sure. But
Yeah, both. Yeah.
okay. So how do you, what's your general philosophy when it comes to lifestyle training, nutrition? How does that impact people's health?
Well, as far as kind of training and having fitness is a lifestyle. It's not necessarily like people think you just go to the gym and you get results. Personally, I don't believe you can train the body without training the mind, and vice versa. You're not going to push yourself the way you need to be pushed. You're not going to achieve your goals as fast as you think you can or you think you should. A lot of people kind of put emphasis on having a realistic goal, but at the same time, I think they also water down their realistic goal, which if you want to lose, let's say you want to lose this much weight in this much time, and it all depends on your lifestyle and your mental strength, in which it's really going to determine whether or not that's actually going to happen or not. So fitness being a deal, like fitness is more than just going to the gym for 45 minutes to an hour a day. It's what you do outside of there. It's your lifestyle, your mindset outside of the gym that's going to get you to where you want to be. So that's kind of my philosophy at it. I like to say it's either day oneers or one dayers. So you got your one dayers where they're just like, all right, one day I'll have this, one day I'll lose weight, one day I'll do this. And then you have your people that have the mindset to where today's day one, I'm gonna go get after it. And that's the kind of mindset I try to drive for my clients, my members, for friends, family, all the above, people around me. That's the mindset I kind of try to instill within my own little community.
Yeah, so and you mentioned, it's more of a lifestyle or a mindset, and I certainly don't disagree with that. And I mean, whether it's 45 minutes or 2 hours or 2 minutes, I mean, you can get a lot of things accomplished if your mindset's in the right way. What about as far as nutrition? I understand you. I don't know what nutritional approach you favor. What goes on with nutrition? How do we rectify that for fitness goals?
Personally, protein is extremely overlooked, and it's just part of our Western diet at the end of the day. Personally, I do carnivore. I don't really push it on people. Hey, if you want to do it, it's for you. My kind of theory is the best diet is the one you're going to do, as far as a weight loss journey goes. Um, People often, kind of, I believe in like a no negotiation mindset, but not everybody has that starting out. Hopefully they gather in the long term. As long as it's not like some, BS Twinkie diet where you take the vitamins to compensate for your micronutrients kind of thing. If the diet works for you, it works for you. But long term, I've never really been into the vegan or vegetarian deal. It's just not. I don't really push the issue like that. But protein is extremely underrated, and people find it much harder to achieve that goal than it actually is. They just, I think they just don't. They're not educated on the protein resources that are actually available out there.
Yeah, I think we definitely undervalue protein, and even people seem to think it's a bad thing, which I think is not based on any real credible science. Um, so let me ask you, because you got 5 kids, I've got 4. What are your thoughts on kids and training? I mean, are you kids have to wait till they've hit puberty before they can train, or where do you think kids can start with training?
You know what? And I think to each his own. I think what most people, my problem is growing up is like my knees are shot, and it was just because I had a lot of strength. My dad was a mover, and I always wanted to make him proud, showing him my hard work ethic and lifting heavy shit I probably shouldn't have. And you know what I mean? So it's kind of just as long as the kid is guided properly, I don't mind it. Personally. I mean, again, to each his own. Some people think it might stunt their growth or, do this or do this. I think the human body is extremely underrated as far as adaptation goes. And especially starting off at a young age where you are in your kind of peak phases of growth and adaptation to future adulthood lifestyle, as long as you're not damaging the child or putting them in situations where injury is extremely prone, I don't mind it. All my kids play sports, whether they do dance, they do gymnastics, um, theater, soccer. My daughter just started flag football. She's only 5 years old. So it's one of those things where I will definitely advocate for a fit training, um, sporty lifestyle rather than here's a tablet, sit on the couch and be quiet. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the difference of approach in parenting, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, like I said, when it comes to nutrition, if you hate your diet or you're hungry all the time, it's not going to work for you. There's no way it's going to be sustainable. As far as kiddos go, I mean, as speaking as an orthopedic surgeon, I would encourage my young kids to do strength training. I mean, I think if we look at the concern around, say, growth plate injuries, which a lot of people point out, or stunning growth, you're far more likely to injure a growth plate running around outside riding your bike playing on the playground than you are lifting. I mean, that's just the reality of the matter. And so,
Yeah,
and again,
exactly.
I think well supervised is the key. I had my kids doing strength training by about 3 or 4 years of age, and so they've it's particularly my oldest daughter is just phenomenal athletically right now, which is, I think, kind of a cool thing. What do you find issues with when you're trying to get people? You said you have a no compromise mindset, and not a lot of people do. How do you get people to evolve into that, or do they need to even evolve that way, or how do you? Because I mean, a lot of people, I mean, they are just, I mean, their habits are so bad, and their if you want to call it willpower or their ability to push on for more than a day is very bad. How do you help to get through that? Is there any tricks you have?
So just like you said, people's habits are bad. You just got to switch those habits. You got to show people that, again, it's a lifestyle. So like what I like to do, especially with new clients, new members, things like that, is if I'm doing virtual training, I'll have them two to three times a week. We'll get together. We'll have a wake up time. We'll wake up, and right then and there, we'll get together, and all together, we'll do a group workout, whether it just be 100 burpees first thing in the morning. We got 10 minutes to do them, and you're automatically starting your day off doing something you hate, because nobody loves burpees. So you wake up doing something you hate, and the rest of your day, everything you might have hated doing that day really isn't that big of a deal anymore. So you've already overcame that first obstacle first thing in the morning. You've already got a win. My thing is stacking wins throughout the day. You wake up, you get a win, and you just keep winning throughout the day, to where at the end of the night you realize, all right, I got a lot of stuff done. Now there may be days where you lay down at night, and me personally, if I lay down and I haven't done enough throughout the day, I realize, like, I can't sleep well. I'm getting rested. I'm restless. I should have done this, should have done that. And once you get into that mindset, action becomes more of an addiction, or well, I want to say addiction, but you become obsessed with just being able to stack these wins throughout the day. And once people get into that mindset, they realize everything they once did wasn't enough, and they wish they would have started sooner. So once they get into that mindset, I personally believe it becomes a much positive lifestyle, that they really don't want to go back to their old self, which, I think if you ever want to be who you used to be, you're not doing enough with yourself.
Getting the hard things done over or first thing in the morning. I often will wake up, just hit myself with a cold shower, because
Yeah.
there may be some, there's reasonable some benefits with that, but it's tough to do, first thing in the
Yeah.
morning, get there, and, there's a period of apprehension, fear, and pain that you've got to get
Yeah.
through. And once you do that, you kind of, the rest of the day is downhill from there. So, I can imagine getting up to 100 burpees first thing in the morning. I'll often do push-ups when I wake up, but I haven't done burpees. But how, other than just I would imagine, other than just the actual physical benefit of doing the burpees, there's a huge mental benefit that comes with that, that sense of kind of accomplishment, which kind of sets you up in the, I guess how we set up our days is often how our days will go. And so sometimes you set yourself up for failure, just how you get up out of bed. And so do you find that morning part of the day sort of sets you up for success, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I personally believe so, because once you wake up, you're automatically setting the energy through the day. For me, first hour of your day determines your day. Your first day determines your week. Your first week determines your month, and you keep that going, day after day, month after month, year after year. The next thing you know, when you look at yourself at the end of the year, and you realize where you started the year at, and if you keep that philosophy throughout your entire year, you'd be surprised at what we can do with the year, rather than just either just resting around, or taking action. Realistically, just keep consistent with the lifestyle, and that's why it is a lifestyle rather than just a short-term goal.
And correct me if I'm wrong, my assumption is you've been into health and fitness for most of your adult life. Is that fair to say, or did you come to this later? You're not that old, you're 32.
So I've been pretty active my entire life, but as far as fitness goes, I definitely lived a completely different lifestyle than I do now. Even while I was working out, like kind of the partying kind of lifestyle. But as far as fitness in general, so I've been, working out consistently for probably 10 years or so. But as far as making fitness a lifestyle, probably only about 4 to 5 of that's kind of what would you say? That's just strict fitness lifestyle rather than just going to the gym. But yeah, probably I've been active my whole life, been working out probably about 10, and taking it probably serious about 5, I would say.
Yeah, well, I know with me, I started, 13, 14 years of age, and I'm, 54, almost 55 now. So I've been going at this for 40 some years. It's interesting, and I wonder, because some people, they don't, they do basically no fitness or exercise related activities until they're 50 years old in some
Yeah.
cases. And I wonder why we see that. I wonder if there's a genetic difference, of family ideology or something like that? I mean, have you seen a commonality in the people that, just don't, don't
Start
have an
soon enough.
interest in it until they're, until they're basically falling apart? I mean,
Yeah.
how do you capture these people earlier, I suppose?
Well, it's kind of like everybody's saying in the chat about when to get started, whether don't wait till New Year's Eve. And that's the thing. If you wait till Monday, or if you wait for the right time, you're never going to do it. So you're going to contemplate until you can't contemplate anymore. We live in a very pleasure seeking, comfortable society where we're allowed to lay around, we're allowed to do this, we're allowed to fall back, we're allowed to, cheat on diets and eat crappy because who knows, maybe there's a pill that'll fix it kind of thing. Until I guess it's kind of the same philosophy as you don't realize what you have until it's gone. And that's definitely included with health. And people don't realize how healthy they once were, what they should have done or should have did this or shouldn't have done that until their health starts deteriorating. So it's I believe it's kind of the same type of philosophy, just more of a people. And also the thing is too, and what I realized, especially with having kids, is people, once they have kids, they put themselves second. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. But at the end of the day, if you're not happy and you're not kind of the physical role model, mental role model, action role model, and that includes your physical appearance and your physical health, your kids are going to take after that. So, and I don't think, and I think people see it as being selfish to take care of themselves first when it comes to their children. And that's kind of a different topic, different subject, but I think that does play a role in the change of lifestyle, because I see much more unfit parents than I do fit parents. And I think that's kind of a big issue as well, just because um, they kind of put themselves second. Sometimes they use it as an scapegoat, sometimes they really mean it. But either way, I don't think that's really a positive action. But as far as the health issue goes, it's definitely you don't realize what you have until it's gone. And that's when people want to take action.
You said, so you do a lot of online stuff, and I've had times where I'm trying to design programs for a general audience and not really knowing what they have access to, and so you have to kind of build in a bunch of different redundancies for, some people have access to a gym, some people don't. What do you find, what is the least common denominator that people have to be able to have a decent fitness routine? Can it all be done doing push-ups and wall squats, or what do you like to encourage people to utilize?
It's about intensity. It's about intensity and consistency. So you can really, at the end of the day, all you're defeating during your workout is gravity. That's it. It's just your body is resisting gravity, whether it's 500 pounds on a barbell, or the body doesn't know the difference between a barbell, a dumbbell, a resistance band. Like, resistance bands are clutch. They are probably the most underrated workout equipment there is today. And it's if you can do, let's say somebody gets to the point where they're doing 100 push-ups nonstop. All right, so let's slow those push-ups down. I bet you can only do 40 to 50 slow push-ups. It's just a matter of making that one small tweak that keeps that challenge going. Because when you pick up some weight on a barbell versus you pick up some weight on a rubber band, the body doesn't know, all right, well, this is a barbell, so I'm going to grow more muscle than I would off this rubber band. All it knows is just the tension and stress it's getting put under throughout this certain amount of time and the intensity of what you're doing it at. So as long as your diet's on point, and you're staying consistent with your workout, and you're keeping this tension, and you're keeping that and you're increasing your body's physical tension on whatever muscle, or if you're trying to look for growth, or if you're looking for cardio performance, as long as you're increasing that intensity, you don't have anything to worry about. And I think people overthink things because so many things are available on the internet. People get distracted from what they originally started looking for in the first place.
Yeah, and the bands, I mean, there's several popular band programs out there that people use, and a lot of people in this community use these bands. And is that something you utilize in your own training?
Yeah, definitely, especially during the pandemic. So when the pandemic hit, I recently just started going back to the gym even after the mandate lifting. Um, so once the mandate hit, it was all home workouts. I bought a pack of resistance bands, and I bought a sandbag, one of those sandbag brute force deals where you fill it up and adjust the weight and stuff. Once that hit, that's all I use. And I put that into my social media at the time to say, you don't need the gym to keep this lifestyle going. I had that going on for a while. Even once the mandate was lifted and gyms were back open, I personally don't agree with working out with a mask on. So I didn't go to the gym. And anybody else that didn't want to go to the gym, let me know. I'll help you out and I'll give you whatever you need to know to keep this lifestyle going. And that's exactly what happened. So for almost a year and a half, that's all I had was resistance bands and gravity. That's it.
Yeah, and I've got several sandbags, and I've used all that, those things. And I think those are a very wonderful, very inexpensive way to get some good resistance in there with a sandbag. You can go to Home Depot and buy a 50-pound bag of playground
Yeah,
sand for like $5, I think, or
yeah,
something like
exactly.
that. Or you can live near a beach, you got free sand, essentially, I suppose. I don't know
Yeah,
if there are a lot of steel sand on the beach, but or take it from the beach. But
yeah.
how
Just
do
don't
you,
tell
so
nobody.
how would someone incorporate my assumption is you have a number of sandbags that are of different sizes. I think that, or maybe you just have one. I mean, how do people, how can you describe like a sandbag workout for somebody who's never experienced that or has no understanding of how you might do that?
Okay, so personally, the one that I have, um, it's just one bag with a lot of different grips and handles on it, and you basically take your sandbags out of it or put them into it to adjust the weight. They're about 30 to 40 pounds per each bag. So, obviously, if you're going to do curls, lower the weight. If you're going to do squats, bump up the weight. You can throw them on your shoulders, do squats, lunges. You can clean, press them, curl. You can literally do almost anything you can do, or if not more, with a dumbbell or with a barbell than you can with a sandbag. So it's just realistically like how bad do you want to do it at the end of the day? Because it can be a little uncomfortable, it can be a little inconvenient, but at the end of the day, it's either you want it or you don't. And if you don't, let's fix that. You know what I mean? So I think especially I definitely got the sandbag as well for when I was still doing personal training one-on-ones and groups and things like that, where having a sandbag, having resistance bands and weight vests and things like this mobile, it just gives people less excuses to use on why they can't work out. So that's another reason why I kind of got it at the time. But yeah, definitely as far as the sandbags go, it's another underrated tool as well because it's extremely adjustable, extremely available, and hey, if it's too heavy for you, just dump some sand out. It's not a big deal.
Let's talk a little bit about, getting links. I mean, you got a picture up there. You look like you're fairly lean, or you can be very lean at times. What do you do to get lean? I mean, let's talk about it in the context of, say, a carnivore diet. Is it a high fat option? Is it a higher protein option? Is it meal timing, meal frequency, calorie counting? What's going on with that part?
I count calories. For the most part, I kind of just eat when I'm hungry. Like it's really not like I noticed with the carnivore diet. I kind of just eat when I'm hungry and I focus on protein. And everything I do, I make sure there's as little sugar as possible. And like when I first started, it was strictly meat and sea salt. When I first started carnivore diet, and I slowly adjusted to just making it as animal based rather than strictly only meat. But to be honest, just it's very simple. I just focus on protein. Fats, yes and no, because I like ribeye steaks, but I make sure I just don't eat too many of them. And I love seafood, very lean. I'm really played out on chicken, but I like beef, I like lamb, I like seafood, and that's kind of my main factors. I eat eggs, and to me, as long as you focus on protein, you really don't have a lot to worry about because that's one macronutrient I tell my clients or my members that it's okay to go over on protein. That's one thing that you don't really have to worry about going over. So if you go over on protein, that's fine. As far as the fats go, I mean, consume what you're going to use. If it's a very active day, it's okay to eat a little more. If you don't, hey, you just burnt a little more off. As long as your protein's on point, you really don't have to worry about losing too much muscle mass, things like that. So I believe with the carnivore diet, it's extremely easy to become lean and maintain your muscle mass without without losing muscle and just burning fat. It's to me, it's extremely convenient as long as you can achieve, as long as you can stick with the diet.
Yeah, I mean, certainly protein should not be a challenge on a meat-based diet. I mean, there's, that's one thing that's generally pretty easy to do. And then sometimes people struggle to get in enough fat potentially. I mean, that can be potentially the downside or calories or things like that. Do you have, so you, like you said, you have 5 kids, so I imagine they're pretty young. I would
Yeah.
assume unless you started when you were like 4 or something like that, which I assume is not the case. But do you, how do you deal with, I mean, I see it when I go outside, I mean, go out in public and I see a lot of the kids these days. I go out to the beach and a lot of kids are already obese by the time they're 7, 8 years old. I'm sure you've seen that too. I don't know. I'm sure it's similar in Las Vegas, but how do you sort of talk to your kids about nutrition and is that part of the discussion?
Oh yeah, they know what's going on. I got a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, 15 and 16, or sorry, 14 and 16. So they definitely know the drill. I mean, obviously they love, candies and fucking Taki chips and, stupid things like that. But as long as, I mean, kids will be kids, I'm not going to put them on an Olympic diet or anything, but as long as they're staying active and, most of their diet is healthy, I don't mind as long as they're staying active. They keep their grades up and they keep a positive attitude. Um, kind of do what you want. My thing is it personally bugs the hell out of me when kids are obese and they're kind of a direct reflection of the parents kind of thing. And I have clients where they come in, it's like, oh, my kids won't listen to me and do this and do that and things of that nature. It's like, do you listen to you? Because it looks like what you're doing wrong. So you can't expect your kids to listen to you when you don't even listen to you. You know what I mean? So my thing is you got like kids, it's a lot of times it's a reflection of the parents and they just need to be more active. And especially with the pandemic, it is very easy. So in their defense, I understand it is very easy to just get comfortable in a house and watch TV and things of that nature. But one thing I also seen during this pandemic is there was a lot of people starting to take their health serious. And there's a lot of people realize how much they overwork. And that's one thing I realized as well, because before this pandemic, I was working, up to 90 hours a week, always like never home, never with the kids, just making sure everybody was, financially stable, had what they need, sports was going, providing as much as possible. And once I sat down and reevaluated situations and things like that, I realized how many things we put before. I still remained active and healthy and things like that. So this part doesn't pertain to me. But I realized how easy it is to become distracted from our personal health. And once we become distracted on our personal health, our kids become distracted. And it's just, now parents are afraid to let their kids outside. They can't play too far. They walk with them while they ride their bike because they can't go past the corner. And it's also a difference in society as well, because when I was a kid, we just be out, the street lights come on, you make your way home. Now it's a little different. Kids can't go nowhere without being driven. They don't walk to school. They don't, and when they do go to school, it's like now they're taking out PE or they're adding a second lunch and taking out PE. So it's as long as you can adapt and overcome the obstacles that society itself is placing on you, you're doing a good job as a parent, in my opinion. Just be a reflection of what you want your kids to be.
Yeah, I think that, that's a good sentiment that, you can say all you want, but if you can't model it for your kids, I mean,
Yeah,
they're gonna they're gonna watch what you do and not what you say, quite
yeah,
honestly, because half the time they're gonna head on their phone anyway, so they're not gonna
yeah,
be listening.
exactly.
So you set the example. I think that's probably the best thing to do, and it, obviously it helps you as well. Um, what are your thoughts on the sort of push for your kids are in school and they're being told that they should give up eating meat and they should go on a plant-based diet. Does that impact you at all?
I haven't heard that one yet. I'm more concerned of right now what they're doing in school, more the political push that they're doing in school at the moment. But as far as dieting goes, my issue with the schools is what's in their damn uh, meat, what is it called, snack shacks and vending machines and things like that. It's the things that are in it's the easy accessible foods that bother me. I really don't get so much of a push as far as kind of the, I guess, environmental vegan friendly diet. I haven't heard that one yet. If it is going on, I don't know about it as far as my kids' school goes. But as far as I know, it's not going on. I haven't heard that one yet.
Yeah, well, and I can't speak for every school, but I think some people would be shocked to see what's actually being presented in the schools, and
No, I
certainly
believe it.
uh, in a lot of curriculums talking about in the under the context of saving the environment, they often sort of de facto say that we all have to give up meat. I want to there's some questions in here regarding the requirement, the necessity to do cardio. Can weightlifting cover those goals? Do you recommend people do cardio? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it depends on your goal personally. If you're to lean out and to lose fat, personally, I think cardio can be overrated. I don't run. To be honest, I do burpees for cardio. I don't like running. I can't stand it. I'll ride a bike. I'll hop on a rower. I'll do anything else. I kind of envy people that can throw on headphones and just go for a run for an hour. Like I personally, I don't have the patience for it. But I think it's kind of the same as using a barbell versus this or that. Now, if you're training for sports or something like that, then yeah, different styles of cardio will help you out more. But personally, I believe the more muscle you have, the more fat you're going to burn. And especially with activities and things like that, it's going to increase your metabolism as far as fat loss goes. But if I think cardio can definitely be adjusted to people think like you just have to go for a run or sprints or do this or that for cardio. I think you can exercise at high reps and it can be considered cardio as long as that heart rate's going up over a certain amount of time. I think it's personally just as effective as going for an hour run. That's just my personal belief. I've had a lot of results from that mindset.
I think that many people would be quite shocked if they were to put a heart rate monitor on and do a set of, reasonably heavy set of 20 rep squats. I think
Yeah,
you'd find your heart rate is through the roof. I've done that a few times, and
yeah.
with a heart rate, it's quite surprising what you can get there. And I mean, the only running I do these days is sprints. I usually get out there and run some 50, 100-yard sprints or up a hill or something like that. But as far as going for a 3-mile jog, almost rather, pull my eye out with a spoon or something like that. I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, I don't mind doing hard work, and yeah, and I can train for a long period of time, but for me, that's not been the thing. So if you have someone so what you're saying, if you've got someone who's obese or has a lot of weight to lose, you would rather see them, instead of just tromping on the treadmill for an hour, you'd have them in the gym doing some kind of resistance training, or at home doing resistance training. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. Especially when I have people that so in the mornings when we have our burpees, if you can't do burpees, we'll just do your squats. We'll substitute it for something. There's always something else that can get you the same result at the end of the day. Now if you're a boxer or you're training for a specific sport and you need that, those 2-3 hours of constant endurance, yeah, go, if you need to go for your run kind of thing. But other than that, if it's just, mom and pop or somebody that's just looking to lose weight and look amazing, you don't need to go for a run. We can always make an adjustment.
All right, there's been a lot of innovations in the last few years, I'm sure. Well, I mean, I've certainly seen some of the stuff, and some of the stuff has caused me to kind of raise my eyebrow and wonder. But I mean, seen a lot of trends over the years with, training at altitude mass, and now we've got these blood flow restriction bands, and we've got, all these different gadgets and gizmos that are the greatest thing in the world. Have you found any of those things to be particularly effective, or do you think they're just a kind of a get rich scheme for whoever's selling them?
You know what? If it works for you, if it works for you, it works for you. But personally, I don't use them. I believe you never get stronger from giving yourself more. You got to take away from yourself to become stronger and get back to basics. And that's another thing I pushed during the pandemic when people were so used to gyms. I was like, get rid of everything. All the gym does is make you think you need the gym. You don't need the gym. You don't need anything except your mindset and gravity if you want to achieve your results. That's all you need, period. Like remember when, I don't remember, but bodybuilding used to be a part-time job. You know what I mean? Back people would get off of work and go to the gym and work out and then go compete bodybuilding competitions, and they looked amazing. They didn't have everything that they had today. So all you need is resistance, period. You don't need, even like smartwatches and things like that. It's more or less like people want to visually see the results. That's all it is. They just want to see that what they're doing is working, in my personal opinion. Now, especially with like the was it the belly sweatbands and things like that, where they just dump water out and then they go drink a bottle of water and it's back, but they feel like it's working. So if it works for you, it works for you. But as far as the actual results go, I don't believe in much of that stuff personally. It's diet, exercise, and lifestyle at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think people trying to consistency of effort and intensity and hard work, I think is that's the magic, if there's any magic there. There's somebody asking about for those people that do want to do a carnivore based diet, and maybe you have some that are willing to try that, how do you sort of advise them to sort of transition? Is there a transition period? Is it just all in cold turkey, or do you have a way to change them, to transfer them in there?
I kind of just tell people my experience when I started it. It was, I just cut cold turkey, went straight to nothing but meat and sea salt, and by day 10, I went through the keto flu phase. It lasted probably 72 hours, and once I made that adjustment and went through that transition phase, it was my energy's never been better, more flat, more just consistent throughout the day. No spikes, no crashes, no. But when people are first getting started, I'll tell them my experience, and I'll tell them, if that's too much for you, just start by cutting out anything white. No white bread, no white rice, no rice, period, no pasta, no potatoes, no things like that, no sugar. Sugar is like, I think sugar is the number one positive factor of going carnivore, just because people don't understand how much sugar is in just the regular Western diet. And once you cut that out, you realize like you were kind of addicted to sugar all this time, because my palate's changed. Things I used to eat are just way too sweet for me. And the only time I regret doing carnivore diet is when I cheat on it and I just come down crashing hard. So when people are first getting started, I just kind of address all these things and just tell them, hey, give it 3 weeks to a month. You got your entire life. Just give it 30 days out of the 30 years you've lived. That's it. Just give it 30 days, see how you feel after 30 days. And 90% of the time, like everybody I know that started carnivore diet has nothing bad to say about it. The only people I know that have something bad to say about it have not done it, or they're too stubborn in their own ways of, I guess, the proper nutritional balanced diet kind of idea. But yeah, everybody I know that has done it or has converted to it has nothing bad to say about it, other than the fact that if they want to have a donut, their day's ruined. But other than that, yeah, that's kind of how I address it. If you can get through it, you won't regret it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opinions of people that have not tried it, that'll talk about the concerns about it, and those concerns are largely based on, extrapolations from, a standard American diet, basically, which is, I think very, very unfortunate and not even close to being representative. Let me see. Somebody's asking about your thoughts on electrolytes without the carbohydrates in the diet. Are you supplementing electrolytes?
No, I don't supplement electrolytes. Every now and then I'll have probably some mineral water, and other than that, I mostly just use sea salt. I really don't supplement for electrolytes. I did when I was going through the keto flu phase, because I definitely needed it. It was just 72 hours of just nonstop, just, not going to get into detail, but I definitely needed it then. But when I was doing it, it was mostly just tablets. I wasn't drinking like Gatorade or all the sugary drinks and things like that. I was just taking electrolyte tablets for that.
Okay, and Phil's asking about any specific or additional recovery modalities, red light, sauna, cold plunges, Normatec boots, any of those things that you have played with?
I mean, cold plunges, I just do cold showers, or in the wintertime, I'll jump into the pool because it doesn't have a heater. Um, It'll get to be like, I don't know, low to mid 30s out here in Vegas, so the water is pretty cold in the wintertime. So I'll do things like that mostly. So I'll do cold plunges when I feel like I'm starting to like become undisciplined, when I'm taking things for granted or things like that. I'll jump in there and be like, you know what, I don't know how the language can go on here, but I've been acting this way uh, for a little while, and I need to fix this real quick. So I'll go do a cold plunge, or I'll go do something that's gonna make me extremely uncomfortable. So then like I'm like, all right, well if I mess around again, I got to go do this again. So forget all that. But yes, that's probably out of that list. That's probably the only thing I do contribute to is cold plunges, but it's more mental than anything.
Yeah, I've done my share of cold showers and ice baths, and I find them to be yeah, stimulating mentally for sure. I mean, the longest I think I did a 30-minute ice bath, and when I got out of that, I was euphoric, I was shivering, but it was also kind of a strange way to it had kind of a euphoria, and it definitely
Yeah,
sort of it's interesting because you send your metabolic system up. I think you triple your metabolic rate for a period of time after this. Your body's trying to rewarm itself, and so that's a way to, but
yeah,
there's
exactly.
a not that many people that want to sit in an ice bath for half an hour. I mean, it's kind of. I mean, I've kind of pushed myself to extremes in many cases, and that's one of those times. Do you find that you have any resistance to what you're doing with either diet or nutrition from the community that you're in? Are you pretty well supported? What are your thoughts there?
Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, I mean, I live in Vegas. Everybody parties and things like that. So, I think the biggest concern is more or less the going out and drinking and partying lifestyle, which I do occasionally. But as far as diet goes, I really don't have a lot of resistance. I mean, yeah, having kids kind of makes it hard because you just want to eat all the fruit snacks and things like that you buy for them. But other than that, it's kind of more. I kind of enjoy the obstacle because like if I can do this with all these obstacles around me, it just makes me want to push myself even more. That's just me personally. But definitely at the beginning there was a lot of obstacles. But when I first started carnivore, uh, I did I did the meat only for about 3 months, and then it just I think as far as that goes, my only issue was like I need sauce, I need spice, I need what I mean. So when I started adding more spices into the mix, I really didn't do the sauce thing. Started adding spices into the mix, and I was like, all right, well, let's go back to just animal based period. So if it doesn't come from an animal, I don't eat it. And that's kind of the best phrase. I love saying that when people ask, hey, so what do you when you go to order something or you're at a restaurant and it's like, hey, I want this and that, but don't put this, don't put that. So like you order a steak, but it's like I don't want sides, and they're like, so I was like, can I substitute it for meat? And it's hard to find a restaurant that will, So I think the biggest downfall was traveling, which I've been doing a lot of lately, and just going out to eat. That's probably the only two downfalls is those two. Like even if I do drink or like we do want to like have a get together or I drink mead, which is like basically honey wine at the end of the day. So even though I'm cheating, I feel a little better about it. But other than that, yeah, I really don't have a lot of uh, downside as far as my community goes.
All right. So as far as your, I guess you have a YouTube channel and how do people get a hold of you typically?
Yeah, I got YouTube. My main social media is Instagram, is at Scotty Does It Fit. My YouTube's Fight or Flight Fitness. Um, yeah, I'm on every social media is either Scotty Does It or Scotty Does It Fit.
Have
Website
you have you
website's going to be website's going to be foffitness.com, which fight or flight for acronym. But other than that, those are my main platforms.
Okay, and have you had any issues with people like shutting down your platforms or censorship up to this point that you can tell?
No, not as far as not as far as diet or anything like that goes for political reasons and my stand for political reasons, yeah. But other than that, it's mostly just been shadow banning. They don't shut down the page. What I noticed is they kind of put you in the shadows. So like I'll literally have people have to search for me and they'll have to type in my entire name just for me to pop up. And that's kind of the most that's happened to me, or like I'll get suspended or this or that. But as far as like animal and things like that community, no, not as much. I probably don't publicize it as much enough to do it. I kind of just explain, hey, these are benefits, this is the diet I'm doing, this is why, plants can be bad, or things like that, or overrated, or I kind of educate people on the diet. But I don't have issues as far as being banned or anything for diet purposes.
Yeah, I've seen, well, I mean, personally, I've seen my Instagram account. For many people, you have to search my entire name to find me,
Yeah.
even though I've got a fairly decent sized following. And then I got booted off Twitter permanently for garbage. I mean, they basically said you had, of the 60,000 tweets you had, 2 of them had music in them that were copyrighted, and therefore we're going to permanently suspend you, which I think is
Oh wow.
highly suspect
Yeah.
that they would,
Yes.
they would do that. And yet they've got the Taliban commander who's got an unrestricted Twitter account. I think it's just kind of bizarre that we're living in this sort of
Yeah.
situation here.
And I hope it all changes too.
Well, like I said, I think, hopefully enough people will say they're sick of it and do what it takes to make it change. I think it's the only way it's going to happen if enough of us, use whatever, exercise whatever remaining rights we have, and do that and take it back. But anyway, I won't get too much into this stuff. Are you, I forgot to ask you, is Las Vegas where you grew up? Are you a Las Vegas native, or you moved around?
No, I'm from the Bay Area, Northern California. I moved here about almost 9 years ago. Yeah, 8 years ago. I just lived a different lifestyle that was on a bad path, and I realized, hey, if I don't get out of here, I'm gonna be doing this forever, kind of deal. Who knows where I'll end up. So literally one day, I woke up, packed a bag, I grabbed my weights and my punching bag, and um, I got a ride to Vegas and came here, and you know started a whole new life. Got married, had kids, bought a house, car, got a good job, and definitely a definitely a different lifestyle switch, big time. But yeah, I've been here probably 8 years. It'll be 8 years in September.
Yeah, I mean, hats off to you if you're doing that. I mean, a lot of people, it's tough to just sort of completely, you know, escape from a certain life, because you've got a lot of people around you, and that people talk about, surround yourself with the people that you want to perhaps emulate. And
Exactly.
if your best friends are out there and their only goals are to get screwed up or effed up and party all the time, and then you can see the writing on the wall with that. So it's good for you to.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people have enough courage to do that, and sometimes it's painful. Sometimes it's even family members you have to say, see you later on. Um, how about your wife? Is she similar philosophy? Do you guys pretty much agree on most of the things? Is that?
Yeah, she's actually on carnivore right now. She's on day 30. She's about day 33 or so, and she's been pretty hardcore on it. So she's definitely noticing results as well. Yeah, she actually she surprised the hell out of me, because usually she likes her sugary coffees and Dutch Bros and Starbucks and things like that. But even her even she's noticed, like, because she was like, I consider sugar an addiction. Like I really do. Like more people are addicted to sugar than they think. They just enjoy it. And she started to realize, like, the Starbucks drinks she used to get, like the whatever pumpkin spice frappuccino shits or whatever, but those are too sweet for her now, so she's starting to realize, I can't even eat these things anymore. I was like, yeah, because it's kind of I consider it like a drug tolerance, where, like, you're supposed to only take this many, but after taking this many for so long, now you're taking 5 or 6 or 7 to ease the pain. And I consider it kind of the same deal. People are addicted, but they don't want to admit it because they find so much pleasure in it, and it's so accessible.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, and a lot of people have made that, including myself. I mean, it's one of those things where these pumpkin spice lattes and Starbucks come out every fall, I guess, and people love them, and because they dump so much sugar in those things. I mean, I think they're like 60 grams of sugar, some
Yeah.
ridiculous amount.
I mean, the funny thing is too, it is in Starbucks's defense, it is an amazing, and I mean amazing, business strategy to you know, hey, you wake up and you have this coffee that's filled with sugar, you're energized for maybe 2 hours, and now you need another one. So you go back and you get another one. And so you just crash and try to fix it and crash and try to fix it. And hey, it's a great business plan, but I mean,
Yeah, yeah, it is.
once you see it like that, you're good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's analogous to cigarette smoking. It's very similar.
Yeah.
Speaking of the sugar addiction, so because there was a question in there about people that are or a statement, somebody saying, yeah, they go on a carnivore diet or a low carb diet, and 3 days in they just get hit with these sugar cravings. They can't get past that. How do you help people get past those things? Any pointers for getting through that?
You know what? It sucks. You know, at the end of the day, that's why I let people know at the beginning, like it's not going to be easy. It's not. It is. This is if you especially if you cut cold turkey, this will not be easy. So it's kind of you know, if you're going to do the cold turkey deal, it's not for the weak. So kind of be honest with yourself at the end of the day. You have to be honest with yourself on whether or not A, how bad do you want this? B, can you do this realistically? Because obviously there's not going to be a rehab facility where, you know, they set you up somewhere for you to detox and lock you in a room kind of thing. So all this is still going to be accessible 24/7. But if you really want this, you won't do it. And those first, I mean, that first week, first 3 days to a week to 2 weeks might be terrible. You might want your sodas or your candies or your coffee creamer, things like that. So especially with coffee, I'll tell people just get sugar free. Try to just be as sugar free as possible, whether it's the best decision or not. At least like you won't in your mind you'll realize, all right, I'm starting to be sugar free, starting to be sugar free kind of thing. So you'll start to see it in that sense. But this is where I like to address people. Like, do you see how addicted you are to sugar? You know, I'll try to use that philosophy where you don't you're not craving it right now. You're going through withdrawals. You're literally addicted to sugar. Like imagine sugar being crack or cocaine or something, some hard substance that, you know, people are seriously addicted to. It's the same exact thing. It's just the difference is this is legal and this is accessible. It's just like being an alcoholic. You can go to what you're going to stop going to parties because, or you're going to stop going to family gatherings or things like this because it's available, or can you just make that adjustment? You know, and I think once you put it in the philosophy of like it being, it really is more than what people see it as, and once you address that and you can get people to see your point of view in that aspect, I think it definitely plays a big part.
Yeah, that's good advice, Scott. Unfortunately, I have to go run at this point. I really thank you for being here. Appreciate that continued success on what you're doing, and uh, you know, keep up the good work. Okay.
All right. Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
Okay, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a great day. Otherwise, have a good weekend if I don't see you. Okay. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.